Welcome to your daily 5-minute crypto brief with Satoshi and Nova. Today is July 9th, 2025. I am Nova.
I am Satoshi.
It's really a wild ride, kind of a snapshot of a market navigating, well, a mix of gritty resilience and some choppy turbulence.
Definitely see that.
Over the last 24 hours, we saw modest gains, right? Bitcoin hovering near $109,000 and Ethereum around $2,600. Even some meme coins bounced, suggesting maybe a risk-on tilt among speculators. You know, they're feeling confident enough for riskier assets.
Right, taking a few more chances, perhaps.
Exactly. Interestingly, though, BONK dipped a bit. Looks like some profit-taking in those smaller caps.
Yeah, cashing out some gains there.
But the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, it eased back from extreme greed down to 65. So a touch more caution creeping in.
A little bit, yeah. Not quite as euphoric.
So what does this all actually mean for you as this landscape keeps shifting? I'm particularly interested in how these legislative efforts might be, firming things up in the U.S.
Well, what's fascinating here is how Bitcoin's recent behavior, it's kind of mirrored equity markets during those brief sell-offs.
Right.
Acting more like a high beta risk asset, meaning, bigger swings with the market than that traditional digital gold safe haven idea. Still, its quick rebound does suggest a pretty resilient buy the dip sentiment among retail traders, even if they're keeping a sharp eye on those macro headlines.
That's a really interesting point about Bitcoin mimicking equities. Do you think that suggests like a permanent shift in its role, or is it just temporary, reacting to how things are now?
It's a good question. It could be an evolution influenced by wider adoption and, frankly, who's trading it now.
And speaking of those macro headlines, one just hit that definitely sent a ripple through the market, really hit Bitcoin's stability there for a moment.
Yeah, that was quite something.
U.S. President Donald Trump just dropped a tariff bombshell, confirmed August 1st as the deadline for new duties.
And threatened some pretty steep ones, too.
Jaw-dropping tariffs, yeah. Up to 50% on copper, 200% on pharmaceuticals if, 14 countries don't strike deals?
Exactly. Hawkish stuff.
And that news immediately caused Bitcoin to drop about $860 down to around $107,970. Just shows how quickly macro headlines can curb that risk appetite.
Absolutely. It ties Bitcoin much more closely to global economic sentiment than just the digital gold narrative might suggest.
Right. It's evolving.
But then you connect this to the bigger picture. In stark contrast to those trade headwinds, the U.S. House announced Crypto Week.
Okay. July 14th to 18th.
Yeah. And this means fast-tracking votes on 3 major crypto bills. You've got the Clarity Act, that's to define crypto asset status, get some regulatory certainty.
Which we desperately need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then the Genius Act, setting up strict one-to-one reserve rules for stablecoins, aiming for stability and trust there.
Important.
And finally, the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, basically barring the Fed from issuing a retail digital dollar, addressing those privacy concerns. And this whole legislative push, which, seems to align with President Trump's stated pro-crypto agenda, it's seen as pretty bullish for U.S. crypto innovation and for investor safeguards, too.
And that push for clarity, it isn't just happening on Capitol Hill, right? We also saw a major breakthrough in the courts.
Oh, yeah, the Tornado Cash news.
Huge win for DeFi, decentralized finance. The U.S. Treasury withdrew its appeal in that high-profile Tornado Cash sanctions lawsuit.
Which effectively ends a 3-year legal fight, removes a big regulatory question mark.
Yeah, it really reinforces that open source code and privacy tools, they have legal protections. Tornado Cash's Torn token jumped nearly 5% on it. A real landmark decision, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It sets a crucial precedent. Though, like you said, important to remember the criminal charges against the developers, those are still separate.
Sure, good point.
And moving from the legal side to maybe mainstream finance, we're seeing some big players making, big crypto moves.
Yeah, like, for instance, Trump Media and Technology Group, the Truth Social parent company. They just filed with the SEC for a Truth Social crypto blue chip ETF. Mostly Bitcoin and Ethereum, like 70% Bitcoin, 15% Ether.
That's their third crypto ETF filing this year, right?
Third one, yeah. It signals pretty growing mainstream interest, especially from such a, public-facing entity.
And this raises an important question, I think, for the whole market. Look at BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust, IBEAT.
Okay.
It just crossed a massive milestone, now holding over 700,000 BTC.
Wow. 700,000.
Worth around $75 billion. I mean, that's a staggering amount of digital gold, right?
It really is.
It completely dominates the U.S. spot ETFs. And its rapid growth, I mean, it's outpacing many traditional ETFs. It just underscores the surging institutional demand.
So much demand, it's actually outstripping new Bitcoin issuance.
Exactly. Think about that. More big money wanting to buy Bitcoin than new Bitcoin being mined. That drives up scarcity, drives up demand. It signals maybe a new, more mature phase for Bitcoin's price discovery, where traditional finance is really shaping its future now.
But as the space grows, attracts more capital, it also attracts more sophisticated threats, unfortunately.
Yeah. Which brings us to the darker side. The U.S. just sanctioned a North Korean hacker network.
Right, for infiltrating crypto firms and stealing billions.
Billions. It's just a stark reminder of those ongoing geopolitical risks and, the crucial need for really robust cybersecurity. You can't ignore that.
So putting it all together for you listening, we're seeing a crypto market trying to navigate these aggressive global trade policies, serious cyber threats.
Huge challenges.
But at the same time, it's benefiting from, significant regulatory clarity finally emerging and this massive institutional adoption through things like ETFs. It's a really complex picture.
Right. And I think the key takeaway for you listening is knowledge is most valuable when you understand it and can apply it. I mean, staying vigilant, about those macroeconomic swings, the security risks we mentioned, but also being prepared for potential upside if these policy winds keep flowing in crypto's favor.
So the mood today is?
I'd say guarded optimism, cautious but hopeful.
Okay. So a final thought for you to chew on. Could this blend of, say, political alignment and this surging institutional muscle finally push crypto into its true mainstream era? Or, will those global economic headwinds always keep it kind of on edge? Enjoyed the brief? Please like and subscribe. We deliver fresh market updates, macro signals, and crypto news daily in just 5 minutes. Live streams coming soon. Stay tuned.